welcome back again to Hair of the Dog, episode 3.
Cheers.
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 As always, the wacky Bolivian, Mr. Nachos. Joe Baggs is here again, filling in for Brandon. And of course, he'll be here with our latest edition. Obviously, this is going to be our Jurgen Klinsmann. Welcome to the United States. Here.
Yep.
Hey, finally got the guy.
Yeah.
Finally got the guy.
Took long enough. It was like a 5-year chase.
5-year chase. Finally gave him the keys to the Ferrari.
Yeah. Is that what it is? U.S. Soccer's a Ferrari?
Hopefully will be by the time he's done.
Yeah.
Or at least a good VW Jetta or something. But anyway, where do we want to go with this? Obviously, where do we go from here? What's happened has happened. Well, he's now the guy in charge.
I'll tell you what, there's a big test right out of the gates with Mexico, August the 10th. Everybody knows how good they've been.
Which is happening 3 days before the opening of the EPL. So I think we can knock out most of the European talent.
Yeah, Joey, what do you think about that? Do you think any of the EPL players are going to be able to suit up for the U.S. like Donovan, Dempsey, or of course Donovan's not EPL, but Dempsey, and
Howard,
Jermaine Jones, and all those guys.
It really depends what kind of statement they're trying to make. If Jurgen really wants to show the fans what he can bring to it, he'll try and bring as many top team players as he can to the Mexico game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you also have to think with some of these players, there's a matter of revenge and wanting to play Mexico again.
Yeah.
After what happened in the, let's just say not to be mentioned, Gold Cup final.
I certainly don't expect Dos Santos and Chicharito to be available for Mexico.
Chicharito had a concussion in training when he was over there in D.C., I think, when he met up in D.C.
New York.
New York.
It
might have been New York. I can't remember.
Yeah, either way.
But,
I think it was right before.
He'll be out for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So.
But with the upcoming Mexico game, what changes do you expect to see that Jurgen can make that either Bradley never did or Bradley didn't want to do?
Well,
that's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest thing that I think almost everybody
player call-ups.
Well,
that's what's going to change. Player call-ups. You're not going to see Jonathan Bornstein and Ricardo Clark anymore.
Well,
they're done.
Yes, his trademark of what he did in Germany when he first took the team over, it seemed to be he set a line at 25, and if you were over the age of 25 and you weren't one of the top players, you were no longer invited to camps. It ruffled a lot of feathers. It's kind of what he was good at, but you might see some surprising names left off just because he wants to invest in the youth. The real scary thing is that we obviously don't have anything to do as far as World Cup qualifying for 10 months, but where we have to go for player development is, do we risk qualification points? Do we risk results in order to develop talent? Or do we just always, every time a qualification game comes, we better have our best 11 out there, secure the points, or do we use those as also development?
I think what you're going to see is, in the run-up to the qualification, you're going to see a lot more friendlies than the U.S. has probably ever played. And Bradley has been very sensitive and tentative when scheduling friendlies because, to be honest, he's got a very split player camp. You either have players in season at MLS playing half the year, or you have players over Europe playing the other half of the year. He's been kind of sensitive and tentative when it comes to picking those players. I think you'll see Jurgen in the U.S. Federation try and schedule a lot more friendlies coming up to try and see who Jurgen wants to play with or who he can actually call up.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have 3 right off the bat. Mexico, Costa Rica, and Belgium.
Belgium all done in the next,
Which 2 of those are going to be awesome. And honestly, Costa Rica, they're a good team. So
that one I can tell you right now is going to be mostly a MLS side because that's being played here in the States. The Belgium game being played in Belgium, I would assume to be a mostly European-based side. I don't know. The other great thing, the one thing I know for a fact that we're going to see that will be an improvement will be energy level. It sure seemed coming down the stretch with Bradley, they almost seemed lackadaisical, especially the first 20, 30 minutes of the game, which is where they normally gave up those.
The Bradley trademark.
Yeah, falling behind early and then having to play like hell just to produce a draw or to somehow squeeze in 2 goals in the second half. That's why the Mexico game was so surprising, because we jumped out early. We came out 2-0. We came out great. But obviously it didn't finish well.
Yeah, we have to be able to hang on to those 2-goal leads. It's important.
Yeah. But anyway, welcome, Jurgen.
But I think the big question with Jurgen is, you always say he wants to run an attacking style.
Yeah. Well, what do we...
What can he run it with? Because let's be honest, the U.S. attacking core isn't exactly at its best right now.
Well, that's part of the development deal. But my question is what do we consider to be successful? Short-term, long-term? Like, do we expect a result against Mexico? Are we going to expect a win coming right out of the block? Or is a loss a disaster, a draw just a showing? Or are we going to take anything out of this game from Mexico?
You can't expect. I don't think you can expect results right away.
People who expect him to blow out Mexico from the beginning are just sending their hopes down the drain immediately. You're thinking he has a week and a half to institute a system to a brand new system to a set of players who have been working under the same system for 5 years, going against their biggest rival, who right now is on a very good hot streak.
Yeah.
A draw would be amazing, a win would be fabulous, but a loss would not be earth-shattering.
Okay.
The games you need to look at are going to be Costa Rica and Belgium when he's had a month to not exactly work with the players, but get his system set up, get his assistants hired and talking to the players. Those are going to be the games to watch.
Yeah. So, and his relationship with Claudio Reyna is going to be pretty important too, because Claudio's in charge of the youth system. He's the technical youth director, I believe is his job title, and he
didn't get replaced with all this.
Well, we don't know yet. No. We don't know what's going to happen.
Actually,
some of these assistant coaches, some of these assistants are still there.
From what I understand, Klinsmann has got the keys to everything. So
he
wants to make a change in some of
those positions. Right. I mean, there's a lot that could happen.
Well, I do know that
we won't know a lot until tomorrow. There's a press conference tomorrow with Jurgen and Sunil Gulati, and they're gonna give us
at least a
little bit more information,
verbiage outline of what their goals and steadfast for. But I'm just saying from a fan's perspective.
Yeah.
Where do you see U.S. as of right now, long-term projection? What is considered a successful run in 2014? Like, are we going to say
quarterfinals at least?
Like, is that the benchmark? Is that where we draw the line?
We got to the round of 16 last time. Let's go one step farther. Let's at least get to the quarters.
I can't confidently say that. I have to say just getting out of group itself, because you have to think the same core group of players is going to go, but they're 4 years older. I've got the numbers here. Timmy, Boca, and Steve are all going to be 35. Donovan, Goodson, 32. Other players creeping into their 30s. I mean, just getting out of the group has to be the main focus, and whatever happens after that is great. But you have to keep the legacy going of getting out of the group. It can't just be great to make it to the World Cup anymore.
Well, what the legacy is getting to the World Cup. We're one of only 7 nations to make it to the last 6 consecutive, which is a rather remarkable number. The fact that we're one of those, I think, says a lot about where the program has been under Arena and even under Sampson, which turned out to be an absolute disaster coming down the stretch. But at least we're going to these events. I think one of the reasons why Bradley was removed was the disaster of the past year of missing out on the youth cups. That's probably what cost him his job in the long run. Even though he has no direct control over those teams, that's the player development. And that's ultimately is what cost him his job, and hopefully that's what Klinsmann is.
I wonder what kind of players Klinsmann is going to look at, you know?
I can tell you right now, from what I saw of the German side that he took, they had a lot of pace. Weren't the most technically skilled, but they were very aggressive, put a lot of pressure on the ball, high energy, and a very young squad. So I would expect it to be about the same. I would not be shocked if we saw kids that are 17, 18, 19 years old right now going to Brazil, or at least being a huge part of what we're going to try and do in Brazil.
I think it's going to have to be the younger generation, because at least in terms of this current generation is just having problems figuring out.
I'm with you on that.
What they want to play or where they want to play, because Under Bradley, it just struggled too much with inconsistency, motivation, energy.
Yeah, but energy is the first thing I think that's going to be an easy solution. Because every player wants to play in the World Cup. Every player wants to be there for the qualifiers. Even some of the old stalwarts will probably give you a little bit extra because there's a new guy in town, new sheriff. You kind of want to show that you're with the program, you're on the game. I want to be a part of this. The ones who are going to stick behind could run into a real problem.
I think
the ones who refuse to roll with the flow are going to be left behind very, very quickly.
That's going to be Jurgen's main thing is making it look attractive to play for this team. You got to want people who want to play for the team. You have to want a huge player pool.
That's kind of what he's always been known as. Good inspiration, good motivator. Just a big difference than what we've had in the past. So, I think he's full of positive energy. I think he'll have nothing but glowing things to say during the press conference.
And while it's mainly this may be reaching into college basketball and college football a bit, hopefully making the U.S. team attractive, he'll be able to get a couple of the recruiting things. Like, we had Timmy Chandler, Juan Aguadello, people who could have played for different countries choose to sign with the U.S. Hopefully under Jurgen we won't have too many people wanting to switch to the other side.
Giuseppe Rossi's.
Yeah.
Well, I think in the Rossi particular case, I think his family would have flat out disowned him if he had not gone back to Italy. But that's neither here nor there.
But there's also the Serbian defender who's only 20 and decided to go ahead and play for them instead of the U.S. His name eludes me right now.
Yeah. I'm anxious to see who he calls up, especially for the Mexico game. There's a striker in MLS, Breck Shea. Solid,
Yeah, and it's not just him, but it's also, Boombury, as well as several of the other young players of MLS who, for whatever reason, MLS is hanging on to rather than shipping them overseas to make them better and find better coaching, which is, I think, the most important aspect to player development is getting them aligned with better coaching.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to see a huge influence on that, which I don't think will detriment MLS as much as everybody likes to think that it does. Maybe taking some of the younger legs out of the player rotation might actually improve the sport. Who knows? But and sending them overseas. But I'd be very interesting to see how things develop. Very excited, very optimistic.
Yeah. I think it's a good thing for the U.S. They needed the shake-up. They needed the change.
Yeah. Should be grand to watch. Should be a hell of a fun ride.
Yep.
I'm very, very much looking forward to the 10th and those that first week in September.
We'll see you down at Big Blue Country.
Absolutely. Part of the American Outlaw Bar program here in Louisville. You ever find yourself in the Derby City or around us, by all means, come on down.
It's a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else we want to cover before we call it a night?
No.
Unofficially sponsored this evening by Spaten Oktoberfest. I figured I'd go with a German beer for our good German import that we picked up this week.
I went with the Bud Light Anheuser-Busch.
There you go. Also unofficial. And, of course, spring water, which is tap water, in a very nice packaged bottle. Anyway.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, definitely. Hair of the Dog Volume 4 coming soon.
Cheers.